So Patrick Beverly is the newest addition to the Los Angeles Lakers. There has been a trade, obviously, that I've already reported on and done a video where they got rid of Talen Horton-Tucker and Stanley Johnson for Patrick Beverly. So no picks lost, but there was a lot of talk. Is losing Stanley Johnson and THT, is that going to come back and bite them in the butt? We're going to talk about what this trade actually means for Lakers being title contenders. And I got to go through all of your comments. I'm going to be bringing those up. We're going to discuss what the Lakers need to do now. We're going to discuss, are they better off with just Pat Bev? And we're also going to talk about, does losing THT, Stanley Johnson, completely ruin the chances for the Lakers to be title contenders? I am your NBA white guy. I talk all things hoops from a hooper's perspective. And if you like that kind of content, then make sure you tap that subscribe button and you click the bell so you're notified every time I do a new video. All right, so I shot that video this morning. I really wanted to just take a step back and think about everything from a Lakers perspective and a contending perspective. Now, I was a little bit at the beginning, a little bit worried about Stanley Johnson being moved off of the Lakers. I loved his hustle last year. I love how hard he played. He was an actual bright spot in a very dark place for the Lakers last year. But one of you guys also commented, yeah, it's pretty easy to stand out when the rest of the team was atrocious. And as I was kind of driving around today, I was thinking about that. That's a pretty bold statement, but it's also a very true statement. The defense last year was so atrocious. Nobody wanted to play. Everybody was pointing fingers. It was doomed from the start. That's why this year, 2022-2023, is doomed from the start, because nothing's going to change in that locker room. I've been in these locker rooms before where there's toxicity, there's hatred, whether it's the coach, whether it's with players, it doesn't matter. You have to understand that that's not going to go away. So keeping a Russell Westbrook in the locker room is almost unfixable at this point. Just bringing in Pat Beverly is not going to solve that. Now let's also think about this. Who hates Pat Bev more than anybody? Russell Westbrook. Well, maybe Chris Paul, but they do not get along. I think this is almost another attempt to bring him in and just drive Russell Westbrook crazy. Because remember, Russell signed that contract to stay a Laker. Now, obviously, it was $47 million, and he's from LA. But this is almost like a tactic, if you look deep into it, to just piss him off and maybe let him know, hey, we're trading you. I think Pelinka's on the phone. I think they obviously have, like one of my commenters said, probably 50 different trades on the board. But I think right now, the Indiana trade is something that they absolutely must do. But I also wanted to get to some of your comments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some of these because you guys get your voice on my channel too. And I won't hide from anything. If you don't like my opinion, great. You tell me in the comments below. I got to play a lot of basketball, fortunately, and I just see some things a little bit differently. The hustle that Stanley Johnson provided last year was just the only thing we had going. And I was really freaking excited about him this year, playing that kind of tough man role. Again, he doesn't have to go out and score 15 points a game or even 12. He doesn't have to go grab 10 boards. It's just these hustle plays. It's just getting your hands on balls. It's guarding, wings. He's 6'8". He's 240. He's got a strong body. This is just somebody I thought was a great pick. But Akili Smith, are people forgetting that the Lakers have a 6'9" Cole Swider? Now, he may not be a 3-and-D guy, but he most definitely can shoot the three. His defense is a little sus, but that can be coached up. Now, Cole Swider, in my opinion, is the Lakers' diamond in the rough. They just have to elevate his two-way contract to make it guaranteed and give his two-way contract to center Jay Huff, who I'm also high on. That's actually a good point. I like Jay Huff as well. This can be a blessing in disguise. We will have 6'6" Troy Brown to fill Stanley Johnson's role. I don't know if you can fill that role. And again, I'm getting killed in the comments that Stanley was just this player unsigned. He grabbed another gear. This is a dude who came off a 10-day contract and ended up getting serious minutes for the Lakers because of his tenacity and the way he played. It's a role player role. He's coming off the bench, but those are what we need is depth. I'm not talking about starting five out there, right? But there's your defense and shot blocking. Okay, so what he says is basically you got Troy Brown. But if we get Myles Turner and Buddy Hield in a trade for Westbrook, maybe those 2 first-round picks, it's lights out. There's your defense and your shot blocking with Myles Turner right there, where he would finish 3rd in NBA block shots last season. He also can shoot the three. Yeah, he averages about 1.5 threes shot per game. He can make threes. He can stretch that D. 4 out, 1 in, Darvin Ham offense. But honestly, a 6 starting 5 is you got, Pat Bev, you've got, or Kendrick Nunn. I think Kendrick Nunn's going to be the uber sleeper this year. You got Braun, you got AD, you got Myles Turner, and Buddy Hield. I think it's sick, too. I think that is, one that can go really deep into the playoffs, especially if we can kind of load this bench up. And I am loving going through your guys' comments, too. We all got opinions. We're all seeing things. But, hey, this is the platform for you, so make sure you're commenting down below what the Lakers need to do. Next one up, Slim B. I think they have something else in their pocket that we haven't heard about. I don't really see them doing that Pacers trade, only because they want us to give 2 picks. Turner's going to want to be signed. He's only good for this season. I think we are going to be in for a surprise trade, believe it or not. What surprise trades do you actually think are out there for the Lakers? I thought it was going to be this overhaul with the Jazz to get, Bogdanovich, Clarkson, some of those guys. But, hey, at least we got Pat Bev. I am pumped to have him, especially in the postseason. So this is somebody, again, coming from a Hooper's perspective. If you can take, Chris Paul, you can take Steph Curry, you can take some of these star players and just wear them out, piss them off. That is exactly what can win you ball games down the stretch. So I think it's very advantageous. I'm just curious, what other trades do you think would be out there? So the next one that came up, Stanley Johnson was too inconsistent, and so was THT. The reason that I screenshot this one was because the inconsistency that we talk about with THT, I do feel like it was a strong move to get him off the Lakers. Now, not because he's a bad player. I think the dude's going to go cook for Utah. He's 22. He's going to be in a, kind of the head, the leader of a rebuild. I think they're going to give him the ball a lot. I think they're going to, he's going to be an incredible player. And this is somebody that everybody's going to look back and go, oh man, why'd we get rid of him? Why'd we get rid of him? Just like Randall, just like, some of these other players. And they do go excel somewhere else because they're not in the LeBron James system. But he was very inconsistent with the Lakers, and he just didn't have his role. I think, hey, go let the young guy eat. So that's the only reason I wanted to bring that one up. Next up, we got Brian. Stanley Johnson's role becomes replaceable when the Lakers sign Troy Brown and JTA. Pat Bev brings back the competitive attitude, defensive tenacity, crisp assists, and three-point shooting. That'll complement AD, LeBron. Way better than THT. So I totally agree. Again, role players are very important. When you try and go super heavy, I'm so tired. Honestly, the Lakers doing that 3 max deal with those players, it's killing the NBA. I love these teams that actually have a bona fide star, and then they surround them with somewhat all-stars and just great players. The Bucks are the perfect example, but the crisp and three-point shooting, I've never seen Pat Bev really be the guy that he's threatening. He's never really averaged over 8-9 points a game. I think twice he's averaged 10 points or more. So he's not a guy who you're super fearful of, but he can knock down a 3 if needed. He did it a few times last season with Minnesota, but he is definitely a little bit better, and he is a good passer of the ball, and he loves to distribute too. That's the one thing about him. So we don't need him scoring a lot of points. So I do agree with that. Curtis Hunter. Pat Bev hasn't really been all that available like that. Dude is always hurt. Look at the past few seasons. He definitely gets under point guard's skin, though. So I agree with that, right? So he gets under the point guard's skin if we can get him in the postseason. So I went and looked at all of his past seasons. The most he's played, I think, was 70 games, but he usually averages 40 to 50 games a season. So he is getting hurt a lot, which will really hurt his availability. We're old already. We got to keep, some of these players healthy. So again, that's why I'm loving Kendrick Nunn. I think if they get rid of Kendrick Nunn, it's really going to hurt. This is a guy who can come in and cook. He's like a baby Kyrie, and everybody's going to kill me on that. But if you watch him at the end of that 2020 season, he was ascending so rapidly. He was scoring 25, 30 a game. He was taking over games. He was shooting 5, 8 threes a game, hitting them. And this is a guy who was getting to the bucket and finishing too. So he's going to score a lot of points. I love having, some of these role players. We got to get that bench a little deeper. But Pat Bev definitely isn't a guy who's going to give us all 82. Big Green said the Lakers need God at this point. I don't know if we quite need God, but it wouldn't hurt. He'd probably average a triple dub, no problem. And the last one is that I hate that we lost Stanley, but now the Indiana trade is most likely going to happen because there's not a really good trade out there to make them contenders, like bringing in Buddy Hield and Myles Turner. So I think Rob is going to pull the trigger on this trade, and I'm expecting a good year from Kendrick Nunn, so I can't wait to see what the team looks like in training camp. So let's talk about a few things there. Training camp. We gotta, like right now, we gotta start making this team happen. I think if we wait into training camp, wait till the trade deadline, it's gonna be too late. This team needs to mesh. There's been too many moving pieces. I am loving Kendrick Nunn, just like you said. I don't know if Hield and Turner, again, Turner's on 1 year. He's gonna want the bag. And if we get rid of all of our picks, I know next year, a lot of people are already talking about the next season. And I'm like, dude, Braun's at year 20. We got to do something right now. So if you make these massive trades and you get a championship out of it, it's all worth it at the end of the day. You're the Lakers. You'll always be able to, kind of rebound, rebuild, and get stars there. So unlike Utah, where you can't keep a star, LA, people will want to come play there. So you guys comment down below. We've talked about the Pat Bev trade. What's going to happen next? Is there a secret up Rob Pelinka's sleeve? Do you think it's just the Pacers, or is this the squad we're rolling in? I don't think it is. Pat Bev, Westbrook, they are not going to get along together unless they have this crazy plan to make Pat Bev make Westbrook actually a dog too, and they just like double dog this thing. So make sure you're commenting below, and if you like this type of content, that you are subscribing to the NBA White Guy. And until the next video, homies, we'll catch you later.